Hello friends, welcome to Birla Biology Club where we make biology fun and easy. I am Rhythm.
And I'm Amritha. Today we'll be talking about the pumping organ of our body, the heart. We'll start off with the basics from the blood vessels, and then to the structure and functioning of the heart.
So let's have a quick look at the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system or the circulatory system is a system of organs that includes the heart, blood vessels and blood which is circulated throughout the entire body of a human or other vertebrae. Here are some of the functions of the cardiovascular system. It maintains the distribution of the blood throughout the body. It delivers oxygen and nutrients such as glucose and amino acids to the cells. These are very important for the cells. And it also picks up carbon dioxide and other waste products from the cells and delivers it to the lungs, liver, and kidneys for the elimination of waste products. And then we'll also quickly go through blood. Blood is the red colored fluid which is passing through our body and it carries substances to and from the cells. It is mainly composed of plasma and blood cells. Plasma is the colorless fluid part of the blood that carries the blood cells, proteins, hormones, and various other substances. Blood cells are of three types: erythrocytes, leukocytes, and thrombocytes. The erythrocytes are also known as red blood cells and the red colored blood cells. Their red color is due to the presence of a red colored pigment called hemoglobin, which helps with transportation of respiratory gases. The leukocytes, also known as white blood cells, are the white or the colorless blood cells. They lack hemoglobin. These cells help with our immunity. Thrombocytes are also known as platelets, which help with the coagulation of blood in case of any injury.
Now let's see the main organs of the circulatory system. This includes the heart and the blood vessels. Blood vessels, they carry blood throughout the body and are of three types: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Arteries carry blood away from the heart to the cells. They usually carry oxygenated blood except for the pulmonary artery. Veins, on the other hand, carry blood away from the cells to the heart, and unlike arteries, they carry deoxygenated blood, except for the pulmonary vein. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels out of the three. Arteries divide into a network of capillaries that enter into the tissue for the exchange of gases. This network of capillaries then exit out as veins. Here's a fun fact for you guys. Aorta and vena cava, respectively, are the biggest artery and vein of the human body. Our circulatory system is divided into two: pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation takes place between the heart and the lungs. It takes place when deoxygenated blood from the heart is taken to the lungs and also when oxygenated blood is brought back to the heart from the lungs. Systemic circulation happens between the heart and the cells of the body. It takes place when oxygenated blood is carried to all parts of our body and when deoxygenated blood from different parts of our body are brought back to the heart.
Now let's take a look at the heart. Here are some of the fun facts before we get into the anatomy of the heart. The heart is a muscular organ which is made up of cardiac fiber muscles. It's about the size of a fist and is located just behind and slightly left of the breastbone or sternum, so we'll find it around the middle of our chest. It weighs about 280 to 300 grams. An adult heart pumps 5 quarts, which is about 4.73 to 5 liters of blood per minute. It beats an average of 60 to 100 times per minute or about 100,000 times a day. The tip of the heart at the lower edge is called the apex. And if we take a look at the picture, 100,000 times per day makes it about 3 billion beats in a lifetime. Just imagine how strong our heart is. Now let's just take a quick look at the anatomy of the heart. Before we get into the diagram, we can see that the heart has three layers. They are called the pericardium, myocardium, and the endocardium. It has four chambers. They are called two atriums, which are at the right and left. The right one is called as the right atrium and the left one is called the left atrium. And then two ventricles. The right one is called as the right ventricle and the left one is called as the left ventricle. Then we have four valves. Valves are like walls which allow only some materials to pass through. We have the mitral valve or the bicuspid valve, aortic valve, tricuspid valve, and the pulmonary valve. Now let's take a look at the diagram. Here we have the vena cava, which carries blood from the body to the heart. Then we have the aorta. It is also known as the largest artery. This carries blood from the heart to the body. Then we have pulmonary veins. They carry blood from the lungs to the hearts. Then we have the mitral valve, the valve between the left atrium and the left ventricle. The aortic valve is the valve between the left ventricle and the left aorta. The pulmonary valve is the valve between right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. The tricuspid valve is a valve between the right atrium and the right ventricle, and the pulmonary artery carries blood to the lungs from the heart. So here you can have a clear idea of the heart. Moving on, let's have a look at the layers of the heart. There are three layers of the heart wall. The first one is called as the pericardium or the epicardium. This is the outer layer which reduces the friction as the heart beats. The second one is known as the myocardium. This is the middle layer. It pumps blood through the system. It makes up of most of the heart's mass. The third layer is known as the endocardium. This is the inner layer, or it's the one which lines the chambers, walls, vessels, and allows the blood to flow smoothly. Next up, we got the valves of the heart. So the heart has four valves. The mitral valve, which is located between the left atrium and the left ventricle. The tricuspid valve, this one is located between the right atrium and the right ventricle. The aortic valve, located between the left ventricle and the aorta. The pulmonary valve, which is located between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. These valves act as restricting gates to allow blood to flow only in the forward direction by blocking it from returning to the previous chamber. They're mostly found at the entrance and exit to ventricles.
Now let's see the working of our heart. We'll first see the path of blood flow through our heart. This diagram correctly shows the labeled parts of our heart. So the functioning of it starts with the emptying of deoxygenated blood from all over the body carried by the superior and inferior vena cava into the right auricle. From the right auricle, it then moves into the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. The right ventricle then pumps the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery for oxygenation. From lungs, the oxygenated blood will then be carried back to the heart into the left auricle by the pulmonary vein. From the left auricle, it then moves into the left ventricle through the mitral valve, from where the oxygenated blood is pumped to the entire body through the aorta. Since blood passes through the heart twice in one cycle, once as oxygenated blood and then as deoxygenated blood, this is known as double circulation. Here's another fun fact for you. Your heart pumps 2,000 gallons of blood each day. This image can correctly show us the pathway of blood through our heart. Now let's see the working of our heart. We'll first see the pathway of blood flow through our heart. Oxygen-poor blood from all over our body enters into the relaxed right atrium through two large veins, the inferior vena cava and the superior vena cava. Upon its contraction, our tricuspid valve opens to let blood travel to our right ventricle. When our right ventricle is full, it contracts, which closes our tricuspid valve and opens our pulmonary valve. Blood flows through the pulmonary artery to our lungs, where it picks up oxygen. Oxygen-rich blood travels from our lungs to our left atrium through large veins called pulmonary veins. Upon contraction, the mitral valve opens to send blood from the left atrium to the left ventricle. When the left ventricle is full, it contracts, which closes the mitral valve and opens the aortic valve. The heart then sends the blood through the aortic valve to the aorta, where it flows to the rest of our body. Let's now see about the conduction system of our heart. It's our autonomous nervous system that controls our heart rate. Let's see about the path of the conduction system now. Our heart contracts when it receives an electrical impulse from a sinoatrial node. It starts when our sinoatrial node creates an excitation signal. This electrical signal is like electricity traveling through wires to an appliance in our home. The excitation signal travels to our atria, telling them to contract. The atrioventricular node delays the signal until our atria are empty of blood. It then transfers the signal to the bundle of His, which is a center bundle of nerve fibers, and then this carries the signal to the Purkinje fibers. The Purkinje fibers in our ventricular myocardium, that is in the bottom heart chambers, are then stimulated, causing them to contract. This is how a heart beats. You've definitely heard the term systole and diastole. Let's see what it exactly means. Our heart chambers alternate between relaxing to fill and contracting to push blood forward. The relaxation phase of a heart is what's called diastole, and the contraction phase is what's called systole. Blood pressure. Blood pressure is the measurement of the force exerted by the blood against the walls of a blood vessel. Our blood pressure can be affected by the following: elasticity of arteries, diameter of blood vessels, viscosity of blood, volume of blood, and the amount of resistance to blood flow. During ventricular systole, that is during the contraction of our ventricles, blood is under great pressure and it gives the highest pressure reading. During ventricular diastole, which means the relaxation of our ventricles, blood isn't pushed from the heart at all, and hence the blood pressure drops to the lowest point. Cardiac cycle. The sequence of events that occur when the heart beats is what's known as the cardiac cycle. It begins with the contraction of the atria and it ends with the relaxation of the ventricles. The duration of each cardiac cycle is 0.8 seconds.
Now that we have understood greatly about the heart, let's do a small quiz. Comment your answers down below. What causes the red color of the blood? The smallest blood vessels of the human body are, and what is the other name for bicuspid valve?
Great! I believe that you have answered everything correctly. If you have any more questions about today's topic, please do ask through comments. We'll be more than happy to answer them. If you like this video, then please like, subscribe, and share to all the biology lovers out there. Until next video, bye.
Bye.